Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to discuss about the recognition signs and symbol of children and the young people who are maybe being neglected. Aging is important and we need to be very much careful about that. A quarter of the 161 children who died or who were seriously injured over 11 years old, including 9% who were over 16 years of age. What is adolescent neglect? Who is neglect defined and described? What are the cause and consequences of neglect? Who business is it? What can professional do about it? What is the young personality directly cannot be bothered or to wash, never being taught or show how to take care of themselves. No hot water, scrap or towels in the house. At what age we to think a young person is to responsible for their own care? A message from the research. Negligence is usually seen as an act of omissions. For adolescents, in particular, act of commission should also be considered, for example, being abandoned by parents or being forced to leave home. Neglected from the different viewpoint. There may be different between viewpoints. For example, between the views of social worker, other professional, and young people themselves. Awareness of these different viewpoints is a starting point for establish a working consensus. Longitudinal study of the community-based sample of the young people aged 14 to 31 suggested that persistent adolescence maltreatment has strong and the more consistent negligence consequences during adolescence than maltreatment experience in a childhood only. Older young people are more likely to be blamed, less likely to be seen at a risk of harm, and less likely to be referred to children's service. Negligence is the when parent ignore you, when parents leave you, and you get hurt. If you are bullied at school, then you have no one to turn the negligence to scares. When it is that adolescence is just not taking care of themselves because they cannot be bothered. Then when is it because they have been negligent and not been tough with basic skill at any early age. Young people may underestimate and neglected. This may be related to the young people accepted of their parents' behavior, young people's sense of privacy, or their loyalty to their families. Neglect is often seen as a persistent. Instead, it is necessary to look at patterns of neglect over time and recognize the impact of born, acute, and chronic neglected. There is a difficulty in making distinctions between emotional abuse and neglect. They are associated, especially when neglect is seen as an omission of the care. What matters is not the able, but the consequences for the young person health and development. Neglect is often seen as cultural specific. The concept of the neglect will vary according to the consistently acceptable standard of care. However, caution is required in planning, placing too many emphasis on cultural factor. Neglected from the different view. Older young people less likely to be seen as at risk of the long-term negative outcomes. Young people is 11 to 17 often seen by the professional as more competent to deal with the maltreatments, more resilient, more likely to be contribute to an exacerbating situation through own behavior, more likely to be putting themselves at a risk of harm. Referral and assessment. Assessment risks of harm than referral. Young people at the risk of significant harm were at likely to be referred by the professional as young children, but professional perceptions of their initial risk of harm was affected by age. Process. Children protection process seen as less relevant for the young does not allow young people enough involvement or the control or the plans not an effective if parents not committed to the keeping people at home. Parenting capacity, basic caregiving, ensuring safety, emotional wants, stimulations, guidance and boundary and stability. Experience high rate of negligence, communication impairments make it difficult to tell other what is happening and may be more isolated. Not receiving regular service can increase likelihood or negligence. Need to distinguish between symptoms of disability and sign of negligence. Look after young people, likely neglect prior to the being look after physical health, education, and emotional needs. Important to promote stability and secure attachment through high quality of care. Impact of parent difficulties, parent mental health problem, learning disability, domestic violence, substance and alcohol music increase, likelihood of negligence. This problem often increase parents emotional unavailability. Young people more likely to be left alone, lack parental supervision and positive role modeling. Young care, older children and adolescents may be drawn into caring and to be determinants of their own care. Young people may not receive support at the key development stages such as puberty and early and the later adolescence. Lack of supervisions and boundaries may result in the young people being exposed to greater likelihood of harm and experience more problem. The following area of a young person life: health, education, emotional and behavioral development, identity, family and social relationship, social representation, self-care skill. Universal service have a key role to play in emotional inclusion and supporting young people to the achieve positive outcome. Parent support services for the parent can enable them to develop and sustain an authoritative parent styles combining control, acceptance and warmth. Undertaking a multi-agency holistic assessment, health participation from different agencies assess young people additional need for service at an early stage, develop a common understanding of those needs between different agencies, agree a process of working together and which agencies will provide service to the young person and family, identify if appropriate a lead professional to assist young person and family. Conserve intervention, for example, like linked to housing and clothing, social support to promote inclusions and the like family into parent support and social opportunity, development approach, peer support for the young people and the support with positive role development, cognition behavioral support, links into social skill training and further education, individual intervention, drug and alcohol, mental health and counseling service, family focus work, family therapy, family group and conferencing. Features of the model: multi-agency approach, focus on most problematic families, whole family approach, dedicated keywords, practice and emotional support, persistence and assess working methods, family agree to a contract and support plan, cost efficiencies. Reduce in antisocial behavior, reduce in housing reinforced actions, reduce in torture and exclusion, associate learning problem in children and the young people, decline in the children protection council, reduce in the drug and alcohol problem, reducing in the mental health problem, significant improvement in the children health, well-being and education attainment, cost effective and provide the social return of investment. Multi-systematic therapy, lines and evidence-based community interventions for young people at risk, MST teamwork with the young people and family to increase parenting capacity and to increase young people engaged with education and training. Multi-dimensional treatment for children closest to the scheme usually have the challenge behavior. Children will usually have experienced multiple placement breakdown. Children are sent to the with the special training, foster parents and support around individual treatment programming are the created for each children. Definition of neglected need to be account of age. For young people, neglect may include a parent act of commission. There may be different in viewpoints between professional. Young people may underestimate the impact of neglect on their work, not always a persistent state. Difficulty to distinguish between emotional abuse and neglect. Consider not only the neglectful behavior but also the experience of the young people may be overlap between neglect and other form of maltreatments. Consequences of neglected can be served and exist into author. Some group of young people are particularly vulnerable to neglect. Universal service have an impact role to play in recognition and responding. Multi-agency approach in case of the persistent neglect support should be multi-phase with concrete social development, cognitions, individual family approach taken. These are the very important aspects of the development, and if we are careful about these things, then we can take a lot of initiative and improvement. If you have any question regarding this particular point, you directly can communicate with me. Thank you. Bye bye and take care.